We'll see about the Lincoln and Guba's quality criteria for trustworthiness. Outline, introduction, definition, then 4 criteria and the techniques. So most of them will be knowing about this. This is the criteria which we'll be using for the qualitative studies. So Lincoln and Gubas has posted trustworthiness of a research study is important in evaluating the worth. So for that, they have created stringent criteria in qualitative research. And this is referred as the 4 dimensions criteria, that is FDC. So we'll see what is trustworthiness. So trustworthiness of a study refers to the degree of confidence in data, interpretation, and methods used to ensure the quality of a study. So this is according to the Polit and Peck in 2014. So this is about the confidence in data and the interpretation. The researchers suggested 4 criteria for developing the trustworthiness of a qualitative inquiry. So the 4 criteria is credibility, dependability, conformability, and transformability. So what is credibility? So confidence in the truth of the data and interpretations of them. So it is having 2 aspects. That is, carrying out the study in a way that enhances the believability of the findings and taking steps to demonstrate credibility to external readers. So this is always analogous to the internal validity in quantitative research. So everybody know what is internal validity in quantitative research. Next is the dependability. So that is the stability or reliability of data over time and over conditions. So here, as I've told, reliability, it is similar to the reliability in the quantitative research. So credibility cannot be attained in the absence of dependability. So just as validity in quantitative research cannot be achieved in the absence of reliability. So when we know that when you're doing the quantitative research, first we'll be seeing the validity, then only we'll be seeing the reliability and validity. That is, it is attached same to same. Next is the conformability. So it is analogous to the objectivity in quantitative research. So neutrality or extent to which the findings of the study are shaped by the respondents and not a researcher bias, motivation, or interest. So here it is always shaped by the respondents. Concerned with establishing that the data, whatever the information given is by the participants, and that the interpretations of those data are not imagined by the inquirer. So whatever data given is from only the participants, it's not at all imagined by the inquirer. Next is the transferability. So this is analogous to the generalizability. So it shows that the findings is having applicability in other settings or groups. So what are the techniques which is used to conduct qualitative research that achieves the criteria? So the techniques for establishing credibility is prolonged engagement, persistent observation, triangulation, peer debriefing, negative case analysis, member checking. So what is prolonged engagement? As the term itself, it takes long time. So spending sufficient time in the field to learn or understand the culture, social setting, or phenomenon of interest. And this is also important for building trust and rapport with the informants, which will be helping that useful and research information will be obtained. As we know that when you're taking more time, what will happen? We'll be getting a good rapport as well as trust, so that we'll be getting more information. Next is the persistent observation. So here the researchers focus on the characteristics or aspects of a situation that is relevant to the phenomena being studied. So here Lincoln and Guba in 1985 noted that if prolonged engagement provides scope, whereas persistent observation provides depth. Next is the triangulation. So here, use of multiple reference to draw conclusions about what constitutes the truth. So Denson, 1989, identified 4 types of triangulation. That is data triangulation, investigator triangulation, method triangulation, and theory triangulation. So data triangulation means use of multiple data sources for the purpose of validating conclusions. So multiple data sources will be using for the conclusions. There are 3 types, that is time, space, and the person. So time triangulation means here it involves collecting the data on the same phenomenon or about the same people at different points in time. Example, at different times of the year. And this concept is similar to test, retest, reliability assessment. So we'll be doing, once we'll be doing the test, then after some time we'll be doing the retest. So the point is not to study a phenomenon longitudinally to assess the change, but to establish the congruence of the phenomenon across the time. Next is the space triangulation. So here it involves collecting data on the same phenomenon in multiple sites to test for cross-site consistency. So here we'll be seeing the phenomenon in multiple sites. Next is the person triangulation. So here we will be collecting data from different types or levels of people. Example, it can be patient, it can be healthcare staff. And what is our aim means validating data through multiple perspectives on the phenomenon. Next is the method triangulation. So here it involves, from the term itself, methods. We'll be using multiple methods of data collection about the same phenomenon. So in qualitative studies, the researchers will be using a rich blend of unstructured data collection methods. Example, interviews, observations, documents, and we'll be able to develop a comprehensive understanding of a phenomenon by using the different methods of data. Next is the peer debriefing. So here it involves sections with peers to review and explore various aspects of the inquiry. So in a peer briefing section, the researchers might present written or oral summaries of the data which have been gathered, categories and themes that are emerging, and researchers' interpretations of the data. So here the taped interviews might be played in some cases. Next is the negative case analysis, otherwise known as the deviant case analysis. So here the researchers will be searching for cases that appears to disconfirm earlier diagnosis and then revise their interpretations as necessary. So the goal of this procedure is to continuously refine a hypothesis or theory until it accounts for all cases. Next is the member checking. So here researchers will be providing feedback to participants about the emerging interpretations and obtain participants' reactions. Next is the techniques for establishing transferability, that is thick description. Then techniques for establishing dependability, that is inquiry audit. Then techniques for establishing conformity, that is audit trial, triangulation, and reflexibility. So this is the overall summary of the Lincoln-Guba's quality criteria for trustworthiness. As I've told, the 4 criteria is the credibility, dependability, conformability, and the transferability. So credibility means it is the confidence in the truth of the data and interpretations of them. So the techniques which is used for establishing credibility is prolonged engagement, persistent observation, triangulation, peer debriefing, negative case analysis, and member checking. So all this just now I have finished. What are things? Prolonged means we will be taking sufficient time in the field to learn or understand the culture, social setting, or phenomenon. Then persistent observation means here the researcher will be focusing on the characteristics or aspects of a situation which is relevant to the phenomena being studied. Here in triangulation, multiple reference will be using to draw conclusions about what constitutes the truth. Peer briefing means we'll be having sections with the peers and we'll be reviewing and exploring the various aspects of the inquiry. The negative case analysis means here we'll be revising the interpretations by including cases that appear to disconfirm earlier diagrams. Member checking means we'll be giving the feedback to the participants after emerging interpretations and we'll be obtaining the participants' reaction. Second one is the dependability, that is the stability or reliability of data over time and over conditions. So here the techniques for establishing dependability is inquiry audit, that is scrutiny of the data and relevant supporting documents by an external reviewer. Third one is the conformability. So here, neutrality or extent to which the findings of a study are shaped by the respondents and it is not by the researcher's bias or motivation or interest. So the techniques for establishing conformability is by audit trial, reflexivity, and triangulation. Audit trial means the systematic collection of materials and documentation that would allow an independent auditor to come to conclusions about the data. Whereas reflexivity means systematically attending and continually to the content of the knowledge construction, the researcher's effect on the collection, analysis, and interpretation of data. And triangulation, as I have already told, multiple reference we'll be using for conclusion. The next one is the transferability. That means showing that the findings have applicability in other settings or groups. So here the techniques which is used for establishing transferability is thick description. That means rich, thorough, and vivid description of the research context, the people who participate in the study, and the experiences and the process observed during the inquiry. So that is about the Lincoln and Guba's quality criteria. They're the 4-dimension criteria for trustworthiness. So conclusion, the Lincoln and Guba's criteria often viewed as the gold standard for qualitative research. And this criteria represent parallel to the positivist criteria of internal validity, reliability, objectivity, and external validity respectively. So thank you for that.